Hi, everybody. Will here with this week's interview chair. And on the chair this week is Mr. Michael Shepard, boxer extraordinaire handler. All right, guys, sit back and enjoy Michael. Hey, Michael, how are you?
I'm good, Will. How are you?
I'm good. Today on the interview chair, we have none other than boxer extraordinaire Michael Shepard. Things are going well for you and Dottie out there. How's the weather?
Yeah, it's hot, but it's it's that time of the year. It's supposed to be hot. Not terribly hot, but a little bit, yeah. But yeah, things are good.
Good, excellent. I appreciate your time. I won't keep you, so I'll get right into it. I want to know how old you were and how you got started in our sport of dogs, Michael.
I was probably in the 4th grade, so probably around maybe 8 or 9 years old. My parents had Great Danes, and they acquired a Great Dane from, I don't know, some friends or something like that. And we, started showing her. My mom used to go to training class. I would go to training class with her. The ironic thing about my whole life is that I never wanted to go to dog shows. I always, I always wanted to go to my aunt's farm instead of going to the dog shows when they would go to the dog shows. So now my life is consumed by dogs. But yeah, I don't know where I went wrong there.
Where did you grow up, Michael?
In Dallas, Texas area.
Okay.
Yeah, I've always lived in this area. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your parents made you go to dog shows at 8 years old. How did it go from there?
So I used to, like I said, I used to go to training class, and my mom would take our Great Danes and train them, and I would just take we had a pet poodle, and I would, take her just for fun. And a couple people said to my mom, you need to get him into it. He's really pretty good. You need to get him in junior showmanship. So I started practicing with the Great Dane and just started showing in junior showmanship. So it was, and then, you win a few things or, whatever, and you get hooked.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
So you started attending more all-breed dog shows then?
Yeah, I think at that time we owned lake property. My parents did, along with my grandparents, and we would go to the lake one weekend and then go to dog shows one weekend, and then it just started to, build into where we just went to dog shows every weekend. So.
With Great Danes, that's your family's breed?
Yeah, with the Great Dane. Yeah, we had a dog and a bitch, and they were brother and sister. They're litter mates, and my parents showed those, and then I showed one of them in junior showmanship, and then I got interested in skipper keys, so I got a skipper key and started showing him in junior showmanship, and stuff like that. So it's kind of fun.
And where did it go from there? Yeah, obviously you went off in a direction. Did you go work for somebody or?
I spent a couple of summers with Bill Aston and Linda Stevens. And then I would help Johnny Johnson. I spent some summers with him. I worked for, or helped out.
For a long time, Johnny Johnson.
Yeah, Johnny Johnson. Yeah, that's where the boxers come in. That's all his fault. But people like, Bobby Peebles, I would help him out. Or just, anybody I could help out, I would, help out. My parents wouldn't let me go away for, any length of time, a month here and a month there in the summer. Was about all they would, allow me to do. But I tried to learn as much as I could, when I was, gone. And then I just kind of started showing dogs after I got out of high school to make a little bit of money to put myself through college or help put myself through college. And it just is kind of, it just took off from there. So.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
You must have had some mentors along the way because you had Johnny, obviously.
Well, Johnny Johnson for sure in boxers. Perry and Sandy Combest, which were my very first boxer clients. They were, good, big mentors for me in boxers. Dick and Marie Fent, they had Great Danes. They actually owned the very first dog I ever won a best in show on, which was a Great Dane.
How old were you when you started on your own like that?
on my own was in 1982. So I had just graduated college. I mean, just graduated high school. So probably 18 or 19 years old at that point. Yeah.
Well, take us back to then. You're 18 years old, and you wanna show dogs now. You obviously had to do something besides just show up at the dog show.
Right. So I was showing dogs to help, like I said, put myself through college, and I wanted to get a business degree because at that point, really, what I wanted to do in life was show dogs. That was what I wanted to do. I wanted to have dogs that, were like top winning dogs and stuff like that. So, and I kind of had established a little bit of a client base. Just like friends of our families and stuff like that. They used me to show their Great Danes. And I did have the one boxer client, the Combest, at the time. And as things go, things blossom into other people see you and they want to hire you and, stuff like that. And I tried not to take too many dogs because I was going to school. Yeah. And then, and my parents were very supportive. They furnished whatever vehicle. For the longest time, I used their motorhome. But of course we also took our dogs, also. I guess I was lucky because they were, supportive of me and helped me, along the way there. So.
What were you primarily still working dogs?
Yeah, working dogs. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I had my skipper keys though. At that point I was breeding a little bit of skipper keys there, a couple litters. And I think maybe by that time my mom had gotten a Lhasa Apso and, we showed that and kept that in hair and stuff like that. So, yeah.
So you're off showing dogs now on your own. You're 18 years old. How did you become Michael Shepherd? Like you're like
I'm not sure.
Box. There's hard.
I don't know what happened. I don't know. I don't know how that happened.
Like we don't just wake up and we're Michael Shepherd.
Yeah,
what happened?
I know. People have asked me that before, and I just showed my dogs, and the Combest had a boxer that did some winning for us. He won like 21 Aubrey Best in shows, and
who was this boxer?
His name was Champion Rock Hill's Graham Marshall.
Oh, I remember that dog. Yes, of course.
Yeah. And so, he probably started it all. He's probably the one that, kind of got me, noticed, I guess, in the boxer world.
Did you have some boxer, besides Johnny, did you have some boxer heroes that you looked towards and
well, Gary Steele, I always looked up to, when I was a kid or younger, I always looked up to Gary Steele. I just thought he was an amazing dog handler. And then like Chris and Dick Baum and, just all the people that were, like famous boxer handlers at the time when I was, I felt I was just, a kid.
What year was the Marshall dog? What was his real name?
Marshall.
Was it Marshall?
Yeah, Max. We called him Max. Okay. Yeah, he retired in 89. That was his last full year of campaigning. Okay.
Yeah, well, you were young.
I was young, yeah. I'm still young. What are you talking about? And then I guess after Graham Marshall, I showed another little dog that was owned by some people here in Denton, Texas. He won a couple Best in Shows, and then by that point, the Combest didn't have anything to special, and I got hired by a couple other people, with a couple of dogs, and they did some nice winning. It was nice. And then at the end of the dog by the name of Virgo's Market Boomer. He was owned by Owen and Jenna Proctor. I got a phone call from Cheryl and Keith Robbins. I'd known Cheryl and Keith for a while and had shown some class dogs for them. But Cheryl was trying to retire from showing dogs, and she wanted to go into judging a little bit. And she just wanted to, stop being gone all the time and enjoy her son was getting married and going to have kids and stuff like that. So she wanted to just, hang out with her family and stuff. And so they asked me what my plans were after Market Boomer. And I'm like, well, I don't really have any. And, for a boxer anyway. And they're like, well, we have this one dog by the name of Travis. His name was Champion Cherokee's Ultimate High. And they said, we'd like for you to special him for us. And, Keith said, we're going to start with this Travis dog. And then after him, Keith Robbins said to me, he goes, I don't care where the dog comes from, who bred it, who its sire is, who its dam is, who its owners are. If it's beautiful, and we can get it to, he said, we, meaning, he and Cheryl, sure. If we can get it to back, he said, I would enjoy, campaigning some really beautiful boxers. So
that's when it all began then. What year was that?
Yeah, I'm a kid. barely making my mortgage payment at the time. And I'm like, yes, that sounds great to me, you know. And then 30 years later, here we are. So
30. Well, I don't want to skip those 30 years, Michael. I want to know.
Yeah. But I mean, you know, we showed a lot of dogs. I mean, Cheryl and Keith were great clients. I mean, I don't think a person could have a better, client. I mean, I showed class dogs for them.
Yeah.
And dogs that were sired by their dogs or something like that they, wanted to get finished for different reasons or whatever. We would, they would send them to me and we'd get them finished. And then we would, as time went on, they would, in the very beginning, they basically picked out the dogs that, that we showed the first, few dogs. But by the time we got to that Storybooks Rip It Up dog, it had become like a mutual, decision, a meeting. We would always go to the Boxer National and we'd say, okay, we're going to look at these 4 dogs and see if like that could be our next special or whatever. And of course, Keith, we all 3 have different opinions of the breed, which is it worked out great because, just is a great combination. But that's how we did it after that. From then on, that's how we, chose our dogs or whatever. So
what was the first major dog you showed for them now? Was that the Rip It Up dog or?
Yeah, that Rip It Up dog. He was, I think he won 38 all breed best in shows. 38 or 40. I think it was 48.
A lot.
48, a lot. He was number 1 working dog. And I think number 5 all breed or something like that. I think his big year.
How old were you then?
Okay, let's see. I don't remember. His last year was 2000. So
20 years,
maybe,
21 years ago.
Yeah, a long time ago. So no, maybe 90 was, that's about right. 2000 was his big years or something like whatever, somewhere in there. So I don't know, it's probably in my 30s still, maybe in my early 40s, but somewhere in there. So he had a great, we had a great 3 years with him. He won the breed at the Garden, and I think he was second in the group at the Garden, and won everything there is to win, the Boxer Club Top 20, the regionals. It was a great experience. I'd never campaigned a dog on that high of a level before.
Right. So,
you learn a lot of things. And luckily for me, I had Dottie was working for me at the time. And so, I could, collaborate with her. And, she had worked for several other handlers that had campaign dogs on high levels. So,
when did Dottie start with you?
Dottie started with me, I think, Dottie's been here longer than I worked for Cheryl and Keith. So, right in the right at the same time, I think. So it's been about 30 years with Dottie also.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That kind of,
Yeah. I don't know why she stays around. I don't understand. I don't know. But something, she likes something here. I'm not sure what it is. So.
Well, she's great. Whenever I need something, I always call Dottie.
Yeah, call Dottie. Yeah, me too. I'm like, Dottie, where's the dog food? I don't know where the dog food is. Where's the dog food? Yeah. That's not really true, but it is true. But yeah.
Sorry, what was the next dog then?
After the Rip It Up dog, I guess the next dog of significance would be the Some Like It Hot bitch that Bayview, Some Like It Hot. Her name was Monroe.
Yeah.
And then she really won a lot. She won 70 all breed best in shows and was, top working dog several years in a row and number 3 all breed. I mean, she, again, she won the top 20s, the regionals, she just won everything there was, she was amazing. Yeah, but she, and again, it was the funny story with her was the only one that liked her in the very beginning was Cheryl. And Cheryl liked her like from a puppy. She was always like, oh, we got to look at this bitch at Ken and Paul's. We got to look at this bitch at Ken and Paul's. And Keith and I'd go, okay, let's go look at her. And we're like, okay, yeah, that's nice. Keith, let's go get a beer, And Cheryl would get so mad at us because we were just like, not even remotely interested in her. And then, she kept, every time we were anywhere and that when Monroe was around, she's like, okay, let's go look at that Monroe bitch. Okay, let's go, Cheryl. It just was easier to go, okay, we'll go look at her. And again, be like, all right, Keith, let's go get a beer or let's go back to the motorhome or something like that. And she would get so frustrated with us. And then one year at the Boxer National, she was like, okay, we're going to have Marjorie, our friend that lives in Canada, Marjorie Ross. We're going to have Marjorie and Paula is going to bring Monroe over. And we're going to have, we're going to take another look at her. I'm like, okay, great. And I said to Dottie, do we have to do this? Like, haven't we looked at this bitch enough? Like, how many more times is Cheryl going to make us look at this dog? And so,
that's great.
So they decided on the spot to meet. And so we met and, Marjorie, I was there and I remember it was really cold. I don't know, for whatever reason that year at the National, it was really cold. And, so I'm standing there, all bundled up and I'm like, all right, Marjorie, let's take the bitch down and back. So she did. And Cheryl was like, Michael, don't forget, you need to have an open mind here. You need to like really take a look at this bitch. And I'm like, okay, Cheryl, sure. Yeah. Okay. And, she probably threw something at me at that point or something like that. But, so Marjorie took Monroe down and back and I was like, okay, Marjorie, take her in a circle. So I stood there when Monroe went around in a circle because I'd seen Monroe move. I'd seen her before in the ring. And I just said, okay, Marjorie, can you do that again? Because I want to see that again. And so she took her around. And the one thing that Monroe would never fail to do was go around the ring. I mean, her side gate was amazing. And I was like, okay, I said to Ken and Paula and Cheryl, I said, okay, I don't know who this dog is. But this is not the bitch that you've been making me look at, all these times. I don't know who this is, but I'll take that home with me right now. And of course, it was Monroe. It just was a different setting for her, a different person running her around, in a circle for me. And then after that, of course, she won like crazy. But
where did you first start her? Do you remember? Do you remember the first day you walked in with her?
I showed her, and I think the first shows I showed her in because I could get her entered. While I was at the Boxer National was the Memorial Day weekend, which was in some shows in Oklahoma. And I could only get her, and there was 2 weekends there in Oklahoma, and I could only get her entered in the second weekend. And she went best of opposite all 4 days. And I was like, well, you got to start somewhere. But the dog that beat her, that was the dog that Diego had. And it went best in show all 4 days. So it was kind of a moot point after the first couple of days of, I was showing her, but, you have to start somewhere with them. So we just showed her. And then after that, she won a few groups and she got her very first best in show in Corpus Christi, Texas, under Mrs. Warner, under Anna Warner. So it was pretty exciting. And after that, she just like started, how it goes. You get a dog going, they just start winning and everything. Yeah. Get them rolling. Yeah. So, but yeah, she did really well. So 70 best in show. A lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. And then how long did she go for? What was her last year?
Her last year was 2006.
Okay.
So we probably started her in 2003 or something like that, or at the end of middle of 2 or something like that. So 2006 was her big year. So
okay. I'm going to keep breaking you down each year by year until I get it all out of you, Michael. So.
That's okay. You can.
What was next then? 2006, you guys were out looking for a new dog then.
Yeah, so
did
I
Cheryl
was
already have something in mind, or did you have something in mind?
No, we didn't. We did not. I was looking at dog news one day, just sitting at my kitchen table looking at dog news. I had a glass of wine. It's just in the evening, and I'm looking at dog news. And I'm thumbing through dog news, and I come across this ad for this fawn dog that's from the Pacific Northwest, and I'm like, God, that dog looks just like Graham Marshall's litter brother. Graham Marshall's little brother's name was Ernie. And I thought, God, that looks just like Ernie. But I was like, oh my gosh. So I did a little investigating on my own because it had its sire and dam in the ad. And sure enough, he was related to Graham Marshall. He went back to Graham Marshall, several generations at that point. But, I was like, oh, wow. So I called Cheryl and I said, hey, this dog, his name was Sunset Stealing Time or something like that. And I'm like, where is this dog and why, we need to go see this dog. And so Cheryl, of course, found out where he was from and we had the owner's name. And so she called Dave and Jan and she was like, hey, we'd like to take a look at your dog. And So Cheryl and I flew to Washington State, and sure enough, we brought his name was God, I can't think of his name right now, but we brought him home with us, and he won. I think that dog probably won about 12 or 13 best in shows. So he was a good,
Well, you just came off, I bet you 170 plus,
Yeah. So and so to come off of Monroe, and then to have that dog, he did a great, he had a great career for us. He won a lot of specialties and groups, and like I said, like 12 or 13 best in shows. So he was fun. It was a hard dog to send home. I mean, all the dogs, I haven't had to send too many home, but they all get to stay with me. They all are, get to stay here. But he was just a hard dog to stay home because he was such a great dog. His name was Sherman. Yeah. And Sherman was just he was just a cool dog. He just a really cool dog. But he went back to a great home. I mean, Dave and Jan loved him, and he got to be bred a lot and produced some really nice, boxers. So, yeah. So then, what was after Sherman?
What was next, Michael?
Well, it was a boxer for sure. But
did you ever take a year and show a different working dog, or no? You're always boxer.
No, I had a Doberman at the same time I showed Sherman. That did win a couple of best in shows. He was owned by a girl, Melissa Laughlin. It was a really beautiful red dog that I wish that I could have, concentrated on more, because he was, and I tried to get her to send him. I tried to send that dog to Gwen DeMilta several times. I tried to get her to send him to Gwen, and just to get him out of my area. I didn't want to compete with him other than if he was in my truck, But I just thought that Gwen could win a lot with that dog. But she didn't want to send her dog away. So, but after Sherman, I think I showed. I guess would be the one that won the most would be Henry, champion Cherokee's Dick Tracy, which is probably, out of all the dogs that I campaigned for Cheryl and Keith, they actually bred him. They were the actual breeders. The first dog, the Ultimate High Dog, Travis, they did the breeding. They decided who to breed the bitch to and everything. They just didn't own his dam. But I mean, he carried their kennel name and stuff like that. But this Henry dog, Cherokee's Dick Tracy, they actually bred him on paper. So it was fun for me to win with him, or show him for them, to campaign him. And he did really well. I mean, he won a lot of specialties, and I think he won about 15 all breed best in shows and stuff like that. And I think I skipped one in there. I think I skipped Macy.
We have time.
Yeah. So, after Sherman was Macy, sorry, that she was bred in Canada.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so she did a lot of winning for us. Again,
where was she from in Canada?
Oh, middle of the country, I think. I'm not really sure. Somewhere in Canada, I don't know. But she did a lot of winning. She was a litter mate to Scarlett, the bitch that Diego did all the. Yeah, they were litter mates. So and kind of out at the same time again, which was kind of ironic or whatever. But yeah, Macy. I think Macy won close to 50 best in shows. I want to say.
Jeez.
Yeah, and a lot of specialties and stuff. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that was it. So then we showed her. And then after her was the Dick Tracy dog. And then I showed him a year longer than I wanted to show him, but we just couldn't find anything to show. So we just went ahead and showed him a whole nother year. And that's when we discovered Wilma, when we were showing him.
Tell me that story.
Gosh. So
I like these stories.
Yeah, we saw Wilma the first time. She was a baby. She was 6 months old. And I remember it was at the Boxer National, and I was excited to go to the National that year because I had a really beautiful puppy that I believe was sired by Henry, actually, that some people over in Georgia owned. And I was so excited because, when you go to your National, you always want to take like something really beautiful. And I thought, oh, this puppy bitch is really she's really beautiful. So I was excited to show her at the National. And I get there, and, the first day I get beaten by this other puppy bitch, Wilma, that Michelle Yedon was showing her. And I was
Michelle
like,
had her. Okay.
yeah, it's like, God, that's a nice bitch. Okay. Well, Michelle, I think, won the class every day. The whole time. I could never beat her. I went second to her, I think, every day. And I was like, damn, that bitch is really beautiful. I'm like, dang it, So I said to Cheryl and Keith, we need to keep an eye on that bitch of Michelle's there. It's Bonnie Wagaman owned her. She was from California. And I'm like, we need to keep an eye on her. But like, okay, so Cheryl knew Bonnie pretty well. So I think she had talked to Bonnie. I don't know what the discussion was, but I know she had talked to her. So that was in May, and somewhere around October, I believe our regional was in Kansas, in Topeka, Kansas. And we were there, and Danny Buchwald had Wilma at the time. And he was showing her, and I remember I was like, oh gosh, that bitch is really, the first time I saw her, and I'd seen her since May. And I said to Cheryl and Keith, okay, we're going to have to have a little chat with Bonnie, or, a major chat with Bonnie. And I think Wilma finished that weekend, or she won a couple majors that weekend. And actually, she won a couple majors that weekend, and then Danny took her back east with him, and he finished her. But I was like, yeah, we're going to have to. So we had a long talk with Bonnie. And I wanted to take Wilma home from the regional, but Bonnie had already made a plan for Wilma, and she had spoken with Debbie Kaywood, who's one of Wilma's owners, and Danny Buchwald was going to take Wilma from the regional and then deliver her to Debbie, and then Debbie was going to get her finished with Danny. Danny was going to finish her for Bonnie and Debbie. And I was like, okay, that's fine. But, I really would, we really would like to have her. And so it took some, convincing and talking after she finished and stuff like that. But we ended up, Bonnie and Debbie, consented to let her come here and let her, let us show her. So, and then they brought her to me in April the next year in Oklahoma. There's some shows in Claremore, Oklahoma, and they brought her there. And then I think we showed her a couple of days that weekend, and she won the breed both days. And I'm sure she placed in the group. She didn't win a group in that, but I know that she placed in the group. But so then I had her. I'd had her for about a month, and we went to some shows Memorial Day weekend in Louisiana, and that's when she won her very first Best in Show. So. And that was under Gary Durkee. You remember Gary Durkee?
Oh, yeah, I love Gary.
That was his, which is always, that's fun for me because, he was a good friend of ours. Yeah. I've known, he used to live in Texas. So, I'll always like to win with my good dogs under, I figure if you win under your friends with them, they're not that bad. You can win under your friends with them. You should be able to win under anybody with them. But, yeah. And then Wilma just started that first year from April to December. I think Wilma won 12 or 13 Best in Shows, maybe a little bit. She might have won a little bit more, but and again, she ended up winning all the awards at the Boxer National for most groups, most Best in Shows. I think we lost the most specialties by one or two specialties or something like that. But and she ended up being number one boxer that year in one system. I think it was Dog News system. So, and and we just went to dog shows. I didn't travel all over everywhere. But yeah. But then the next, 2.5 years of my life were spent on the road with Wilma.
When did you broke that Best in Show record? When did you see that was attainable? When did you think, oh, we can do this?
Well, when I got to 71 Best in Shows, which for me was my record of most Best in Shows on a dog, and that was Monroe's record. I was like, well, it was whatever. Whenever we broke that record, it was early on in like the second or third year or something like that, probably the second year. And I just thought, well, maybe we'll try for 100. Maybe that's what we'll try for that. Cause it's always nice to get 100 Best in Shows on a dog. I mean,
yeah. That'd be nice.
You just go out and do it. Yeah. It's just nice to get one Best in Show on a dog. Heck, much less more than that. But, we just kept getting close, and we still had like a whole year to go. And so by the time we got to like the end of that year, we were so close to 100. It was like, okay, well, we're going to do that. And then we were going really good. And then, the whole COVID situation happened. And I thought, well, all right, we're so close already to the record to Bangway's record, we might as well we don't have anything else better to do that whole year of COVID. It's not like you could start a new dog because, you don't even know if you're going to have dog shows or not. So, yeah. And a lot of people don't know this, but for me, don't get me wrong. It was a thrill for me to set a new record in boxers for most best in shows, but it was also a real hard decision to make to I don't have the right words here, but change something.
I understand.
Yeah. I mean, gosh, that dog held that record forever. Right. And not only that, I don't know if too many people know all of Bangaway's history. Not only was he the top winning boxer in the history of the breed for close to 70 years or over 70 years, he also was the very first dog that won 100 best in shows. I don't know if you knew that or not, but yeah, I mean, and that dog, and the day and the time that he did it, I believe, and I might be wrong on this, but I think it took him around 5 years to set that boxer record. But he set a record for the dog winning the most best in shows, and then they retired him. And then there was another dog that got close to his record or broke his record. I don't remember all the details right, now. But so they brought Bangway back out and set a whole new record, which was 100. They broke that barrier, and then they just went on, and got 121 because I think that other dog was still being campaigned. But to break that record, I had a lot of visits with a lot of people, and because I didn't want to do the wrong thing, like I didn't want to I don't want to make the dog world mad at me because that dog was such an influence on our breed and such a trendsetter, for dogs and dog, best in shows and winning
and
losing.
Person, you know who Bangaway is.
Yeah, even if you're not you know who Bangaway is, and stuff like that. So I didn't want to do the wrong thing, but I was so close that I felt, I may never get that opportunity again to win, to have a dog that could win that many best in shows. So it was a lot. It was a huge decision, for me and for Cheryl and Keith, and we just didn't want to, do the wrong thing. And there were some people that when I talked to them about it, they struggled with, what to tell me. They were like, well, I don't know. They just were, and then we finally would, they would come to a decision, and I would weigh their decision and listen to the advice they gave me and stuff like that. And I'll tell you, the person that pushed me over the edge of going ahead and setting a new record was Sue Vroom. And she had a long talk with me because, Corky's parents were boxer people, and they bred boxers, and they actually bred to Bangaway. And, Corky had Bangaway puppies as a kid, and, all those things. And Sue, Corky had talked to Sue a lot about Bangaway and, just the kind of dog he was and the whole history of him and stuff. And, Sue and I sat down with a bottle of wine, and we talked about it because I really, I needed like a final decision, to know what I was going to do. And she said, I'm going to tell you, Michael, she said, I've struggled with this because I know you're getting close. She said, I knew you were close to the record. And she said, I've struggled with it. And I at first I was against you setting a new record, and she told me all her reasons why, because of Corky and the family, and just the history of the whole dog, and all of it. And she said, but you know what? She said, I think it's time that she said, you're not taking anything away from Bangaway.
No.
She said, but I think that it's time for a new boxer to hold that record. And I was like, well, gosh, Sue, thanks, because it's been a weight on my shoulders. And by that point, the decision was mine to make. Nobody, Cheryl and Keith and Bonnie and Debbie, they just, whatever I wanted to do, they were good with it. If I wanted to get to 121 and just tie it, they were fine with that. If I wanted to stop where we were, and I think at that point I was about 10 best in shows away. And they said, if you want to stop, where you are right now, they said, we are fine with all of that. We've had a great, she's had a great career, and we're all happy, and we couldn't have asked for anything, better. But if you want to go ahead and set a new record, they're like, we're behind you 100%. And that's what Sue told me. She said, you go ahead and you do it. I'll be behind you 100%. And I think it was Sue's advice that really, helped me get over the hurdle of,
it's an iconic moment. Like it's
man, it was a lot. Well, I know that they always say, records are made to be broken and stuff like that. But, sometimes you have to think about something if it really should be, like if there should be a new record in a certain, subject or a title or a breed or whatever. And, I also thought about the little min pin that broke the min pin record. Armando's, he broke the min pin record, and that record held for 50-something years, I think, or something like that. And again, and I put everything in perspective. Yeah, it took me, 3 years to get to that record of Bang-Aways. It took Bang-Away 5 years to get that record. But the difference is, when that dog was being campaigned, you didn't have dog shows every weekend all over the country. You couldn't get on a plane or, get in your car and just drive drive. People just didn't do that back then. Right. And that dog was shown on the East Coast and the West Coast. And, he was put on a train and shipped, back east, and then put on a train and shipped back to the West Coast. And, just the logistics of all that back then which is what amazes me, that a dog in that era could win that many best in shows when there weren't that many dogs, and there weren't an abundance of dog shows like we have now. We have thousands and thousands of dog shows a year, and they had like hundreds probably, or maybe, more than that. But I don't know, but it was a big, for me. And again, all the pressure got put on me as to what to do. And, it just was a big deal. And I'm glad we set a new record. It makes me feel good about Wilma. I think she's I don't know. It'll be a long time. I feel that there'll be another one that is as beautiful and as the quality that she is. And good luck to somebody that has one like that. Call me. I'll give you all the advice I can give you. I'll tell you all the mistakes I made and all the things I wish I'd have done. And, but it's one of the things that I'm glad I got to experience in life. I wouldn't change it for the world. Even being gone 3 and 4 weeks at a time, just living on the road with Wilma, and then, and a couple of other dogs. Sometimes it was truly something, that I wish everybody could experience that, that experience. So
it was like, even just talking about it now with you and talking about Bang-Away and Wilma, it still gives you goosebumps thinking about what
it does. Yeah. Because and all the, like you said earlier in the interview, the people, like all the people that I named, Dick and Chris Baum, Johnny Johnson, all those, Gary Steele, all those people that I feel, and I'm sure I'm leaving out some names. I know there are people, Chuck Steele. Just the people that were before me, that were boxer handlers, that were when I was a kid, that when I used to work for Johnny and I would go to all the nationals and the specialties with Johnny, just all the, how it is, just the people, just the history and the breed that, didn't achieve, like even Monroe's record of 70 best in shows. And I was fortunate enough to have a dog that could, win like that. And I thought at the time Monroe would be my biggest winner ever. That's, like I've always said, 5 best in shows to me is a lot of best in shows on a dog. I don't know. Maybe people think differently, or maybe I'm just, I don't know, weird, but I don't know. I just, I think 5 best in shows is a lot. That's I think if you can win, 1 best in show on your dog, that's a huge accomplishment. And then, to win multiple best in shows is, like a lot. But to win at that point in my life, to win 70 on a dog was like insane to me. But then to have Wilma come and win, she has 133 best in shows, to have her win that many, and, 2 groups at the Garden and stuff like that. It's just, my world is set.
When you think about it, Michael, you all those people that you learn from or watch from, they probably contributed to you doing.
Oh yeah,
there's no question. Right?
Oh yeah, no, there's no. And I learn by watching better than I'm learned by somebody telling me how to do something. I could watch you show a beagle and learn all your techniques, learn all the things you do with them. And I probably have watched you show a lot of beagles and learned, picked up some tips and stuff like that. But, like, again, working for Johnny, he taught me a lot about the breed and a lot about the grooming of the breed and the showing of them and how to hide some faults and, just how to stack them certain ways and, things that you learn when you work for people. I used to sit and watch Chris and Dick Baum show their dogs, and I learned techniques from them on how to gate dogs or how to where the leash was, and what I kind of figured out what issue they were trying to make better or whatever. And I remember one year at the Boxer Regional when I worked for Johnny Johnson, Chuck Steele and his son Cliff Steele were there, and it was one of the most memorable times I've ever seen in the breed, because we were on carpet. The ring was on carpet, and Chuck and Cliff must have had a dozen little tiny balls in their pocket. And every time in the breed ring, every time they moved their specials dog or whatever, you had to dodge. It was like playing dodgeball, because these little tiny balls would come flying at you or rolling on the floor at you. And it was just, it made the dogs look amazing. But it's just one of those things that you learn how to, do. And this another thing I'll never forget that day at the breed there. It was in Oklahoma City in a hotel. The hotel's not even there anymore, but it just was an amazing, thing to see, to be there to witness.
I remember watching you. I think it was Florida, and I forget I won't even remember who the judge was, but it looked like you weren't in it yet. It looked like someone else was beating you, and you just turned it on, man. And it was exciting.
Yeah. People always tell me, you show dog best when you're mad. I'm like, sorry.
You turned it on, and it was almost like you couldn't lose at that point. It was so much fun to watch.
Yeah, it's fun. Sometimes you have to give it that extra. Was it in Orlando?
It was in Orlando. Yeah, I think I told.
Yeah. It was in Orlando, and I won't say who the judge was, because it doesn't matter. But I will tell you that I got pulled out for best of opposite with Wilma that day, and all I could think about was, what would Chris Baum do at this point? Like, when she had Tegan, like what? And I was like, I know what Chris Baum would do, and I never stopped. I just kept showing my dog, and fortunately, the judge wasn't through judging, I guess, because evidently he finally took notice, and I did end up winning the breed that day. But yeah, that was like, what would Chris Baum do here? And this is what Chris Baum would do, and that's what I just thought back. You know how something can flash back in your mind real fast, like, what would Chris do? And that's what I did.
I enjoyed that. So
I've told her that story too. I've told Chris that story a lot. Yeah, we talk about that a lot. Yeah.
Funny. So you're
fun times.
You're on to a young dog now. We won't get into that because you're still showing.
That's okay. Yeah.
But what an amazing career. What advice would you give for a young handler that wanted to pursue this sport the way you did?
Go to school, get some knowledge of business. Just, I'm not saying you have to have a degree, but just get some business knowledge, in your brain, and so you can operate your business as a business. Get yourself a very good accountant. That's key. Because they're the ones that keep you from spending all your money with the IRS. Listen to the people that are, ahead of you. Have respect for the people that have done this. Take good care of your dogs. Keep your equipment in top shape, meaning your vehicle, whatever vehicle you go in. Make sure the air conditioning is, there. Just make sure that your dogs are safe. Try to find someone like Dottie to work for you that wants to stick with you. Yeah. Just, be nice, be kind. It's a different world now than it was when I was a kid and when I first started showing dogs for a living. Everything's just all different. Not that it's bad, it's just different. Mm-hmm. I still enjoy it. I'm enjoying right now really not having a dog that wins on a real high level. It's nice to be home. It's just nice to be home, to tell you the truth. It's nice to be home Sunday night. And then even if it's just for a few days at home before we have to go back to the next dog shows, it's fun. What other advice could I give them? Just do things the right way. Take care of your clients. Don't, charge everybody the same. Don't try to make deals with, charge one thing and one another thing. And because they'll talk to each other and then you'll get in trouble, you'll get in a pickle with your clients and stuff like that. But
that's an important lesson for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
What about over the years, you've seen lots of dogs. Are there dogs out there you wished you could have been a part of?
Yeah, there are. The first one that just pops in my head is the Doberman Kryptonite. Yeah. I love Dobermans, and I loved that dog. For his time, I think he was a really, really beautiful dog. They're pointers. I love pointers, and when I was younger, I was in my 20s when I first saw Michael Zola with Deputy, and I just thought he was like an amazing. I just thought he was amazing. Most all of Jimmy's Moses' shepherds, I'm just in awe of how they all win like crazy, and he just has them all trained like perfectly, and they, to watch him with a shepherd is just like an amazing thing.
No, you are with boxers, man.
Yeah, okay, I'll take it. Listen, trust me, I'll take it. Yeah. I used to like to watch Peter Green with all his dogs, like the wire dog that he did all the winning with. I wish I could have just been like, I wish I could have worked for him just to know that dog, just to be around that dog. Gosh, there's a lot of, just a lot of dogs I think are, just have been like really beautiful dog. Bill McFadden's The Kerry Blue Mick that Bill showed. I just thought, and I might be wrong. Maybe all these dogs are no good, but for me, they just were beautiful dogs. I don't know. Yeah. And I've learned to accept that if I think it's beautiful, then that's fine. If you don't think it's beautiful, that's fine too. But, all these dogs were big winners. So I don't think they were that, poor quality of dog.
I think you chose wisely.
Yeah. There's a lot of dogs. I mean, sure. Like that Tiggin bitch that Chris Baum showed, I wish I could have shown her. Yeah. She would have been fun. Yeah. She would have been lots of fun to show. So yeah.
It was beautiful.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. One last question then, Michael.
Okay.
If you could meet the 20-year-old Michael now, is there any advice you'd give Michael?
Same thing again, just, take care of your dogs, keep your equipment in good shape, get a good accountant, maybe even get a financial advisor or somebody to advise you on what to do with your money, because you're going to make a lot of money. I mean, you just have, as you know, at dog handlers, I mean, we have a lot. I mean, there's a lot of money that comes through your bank account. Don't just, spend it. Put it somewhere, or
2 years to learn that lesson.
Yeah, it took me too many years to learn that lesson, and that's a big thing. Is just get somebody to have to direct you on what to do with your money. So that when you are older and in your 60s and or whatever, or when you want to retire, that you have some money to retire on, or something catastrophic happens, that you have some money to. Like COVID, like if something ever happens again, like COVID, that you have some money to live on, because if you can't work, you can't make money, and people are going to want to take their dogs home because they're not working either. And, your mortgage comes every month, and your car payment comes every month, and your insurance, all that stuff. So just, pay attention to business, just do your business, which is hard to tell somebody, that's young that you should do that. But,
when you're younger and you just think you're making all this money and top of the world, right? That's why
I didn't finish college, because I was making too much money showing dogs to put myself through college. That's what the problem was right there. But I did have a lot of people that directed me in the right direction to save some money, put some money away, put it in a fund that you can't get to it, basically is what they said. So yeah.
I forget what I was doing one of these interviews. I forget who it was. It might have been Clay or somebody, but they always paid themselves. They always put away their bonuses.
Right. So yeah. A lot of people have done that. That's Michael Scott. I talked to Michael Scott a lot about stuff like that. And he told me several of the dogs that he showed that he took all the bonuses that they, that he made off of them and like paid his house off, or, did stuff like that, or, just did good things with it. So that way, when that dog wasn't there anymore, that, his life could be, pretty normal, So, yeah.
Smart. It's a hard lesson to learn when you're young, though. really is.
Right. It is. No, it is, because you're young and, if you're successful, you're successful. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, Michael, I appreciate your time, and
Thanks.
good to catch up, and I'm sure I'll
Fun. It's been fun. Yeah. Gosh, can you guys get out of Canada yet? Are you allowed to leave this country?
We're still in lockdown up here. It's starting to ease up, so it's
Okay.
a little better, and people are attending some shows. So just a quarantine afterwards.
Good. Yeah, good. That's good. Okay.
It'll happen. So
it'll happen. Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy down here now, but yeah. Thank goodness. Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah. All right.
Well, I appreciate your time, and
thank you, Will.
my best, Dottie,
yes.
my love.
I will.
I'll
talk to you later.
Appreciate it.
Okay. Be good, Will. Talk to you later.
Well, it was great to catch up with Michael. I didn't know most of those things, so it was nice to find those things out myself. If you like what we're doing here, make sure you press the like, share, and subscribe button. If you want to get a hold of me, at dogshowtips@gmail.com. Or if you want to find out what's happening in Will's world, go to willalexander.net. And don't forget about the Dog Show Drive podcast with myself and Wayne Kavanaugh every Thursday on Spotify, Stitcher, and Apple. Until next week, guys. Talk to you soon.